Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This John's report is for the 13th day before Valentine's Day. Well, the other day we saw a beautiful increase. So coming off this extreme spike low, yeah, we got a little more buying. Did it eclipse everything? No. Were we still in a short overall signal? Still, yes. And we had this declining ABM value. Still hasn't been touched. It's right there at the 2671.50 range as an overall overhead one, way back here from the original 2833, which was a break of the ABM, even though we had the short signal there a little before that. Needless to say, we are continuing a pretty weak and ugly shakeout. It's not the worst, but because we do have the yellow above the blue in that. So as soon as it does turn around a little bit, we're going to actually get ourselves a relatively okay buy signal. You can see right now in futures a little bit off, retracing part of what happened the other day. There's really nice volatility. Continues to range right around all the way up at 67, almost 68 now. Extreme histogram looks good. We're starting to see some improvement from the DLC here, where we've already got midterm buyers come in, and they've been jumping in with short-term buyers, and that's what's given most of this. And this is what we would call the institutional buyers. We're jumping in, taking advantage of some of these discounts, expecting things are going to continue. We've seen no shorts. They've pretty much covered everything that's been going on. So why are we still have the weakness? Well, we haven't seen a big influx of long-term buyers yet. We also have been in a continuation mode with the orange and steel were caught between the cyan and red, but that broke out the other day, at least for short-term buyers. So from that standpoint, a little bit lower, and you could actually, for the orange at least, and you might actually see what we would have as a full buy. Doesn't mean that it won't start to turn around a little earlier than that. It's just slower when it comes to the daily than if we look at our intraday charts. Nothing too dramatic, but overall it was a nice spike low. You can see the ABM here. I believe this is just regular ABM. Let's see if it's the ABM DO. Has reset, which is an indication that it considers what's about to happen here as a buy, at least on the NQ. So, and the NQ's been a little bit different. You can see there's a slight improvement. I think seeing that histogram here get above the negative 13.5, along with a crossover of yellow to the magenta right here, would be a confirmed one on a shakeout. So that's probably a little early, but needless to say, that's starting to indicate that an equilibrium has been reached, and we're sort of turned the corner from everyone's doom and gloom. I mean, it was the end of the world, and not a whole lot really happened. It just happened quickly. That's what freaks people out. Speed. So it was like on adrenaline. And here for the euro, you can see we came down to very close reset on the histogram, but it turned around. And there it is, popping back up. It's really still fairly bizarre readings. The reset of steel always meant that it was going to be a short-lived decline. It had filled in these early positive extremes, never got down to the critical ones. We were only looking for a 122 and a half range for the reset, and pretty much that's exactly what we got. So nothing too dramatic with that one. And TLT, as far as treasuries and that, still a mixed note. 118, there's that 113 is finally showing up now. A little bit further of a breakdown would do it. It's still not in a buy in any way, shape, or form. Shakeout is still ugly, not improving at all. And oil still also in a nice power decline. Short-term buyers jumped into it here pretty good, and shorts have been extraordinarily active on it, meaning we're probably getting very close to what would be a little bit of a pop turnaround. Still ugly with the extreme histogram all the way below the red line. So anything that hits is going to be just temporary So there's definitely some weakness there. That's going to have some broader impact, both in inflation and whether or not there's actual growth. I think we keep seeing draws being significant, so it's not there isn't usage. It's just that every time you get a spike in the use, the market's able to respond now with flexibility, which is an unusual thing. You always had shortages build up in that type of situation. And gold forming a nice little base right there. Got a potential for creating a buy setup just like the others. A little bit of a crossover for the midterm buyers would do it. I would say anything above the ABM green in 25.74 would do it because you get the first shakeout histogram above. So it's in position. And so here we go, the 5K. Shrunk. I had to squeeze it. The volume is excellent when it comes to these. We had some nice run-ups, again, bottoms, and then we ended up with the buys. Do you imagine this run right here from this low to this high? That 50% number is right here, which is what we just filled in. So from a broader high to low 50% retrace, this is it right now. And you can see that shakeout went ugly from back on the peak. Let's start to expand so we don't need to see all that. It makes it a little easier when we get expanded view. There we go. What some people would refer to as a triple top, except for the fact that the third one was higher than the other two, proving that that doesn't always work. So that's always a good one. But what does always work is a DOC spread that comes in there just like that, and your shakeout starts to fade, and you break below that ABM, and you look for your 50%, and in this case the lows kept rising, so you were looking for the zero, which came pretty quick from there. Started to give a new set of buy signals right here at the peak, but that's right at the 50%, and wasn't looking bad. You just had the cross, but then you ended up with the spider like really close right after it, and then we just got chopped. It was just a bunch of muck, and that was just it's sort of like the flat up here where you're above the shakeout, the zero line on the shakeout, and then here you're below the shakeout of the zero line. And that's the difference between being positive to the negative, and you can see that even in the pops, the overall draw, because you're in the negative shakeout, was lower versus the positive, which elevated. So that was a pretty good one to see visually, that general trend. So nice to look at that one. Anyway, I think we're just still in for a little bit more volatility. I think they're still shaking out from that previous week and the beginning of it. So it's going to take another couple of days. And then once that's done, then we'll start to get a real sense of where the market wants to drift at this particular point. Though we have the numbers to flip. But otherwise, we're still in a slightly negative draw. Shouldn't take much to move that the other direction. I think that confidence sort of being restored after this whole volatility shakeup. As always, though, I will post charts when they're relevant. Trade well.